The crystal microphone caught the light as my father's voice filled every corner of the grand ballroom. "Tonight, I'm announcing that my daughter will be transferring her downtown property to her younger sister as a wedding present." The champagne in my hand suddenly felt impossibly heavy. 40 faces turned toward me in unison, their expressions a mixture of admiration and expectation. The string quartet had gone quiet. Even the waitstaff had stopped mid-step, frozen like actors awaiting their cue. My mother's expression remained serene, practiced, perfect. My sister Emma stood beside the cake table, her hand fluttering to her chest in theatrical shock, though her eyes betrayed no surprise whatsoever. I remained in my seat, my spine rigid, feeling the weight of every gaze like a physical pressure against my skin. Then, cutting through the suffocating silence, a voice emerged from somewhere near the back of the room. A man I'd never met rose from his chair, his tone measured but unmistakable in its authority. "Interfere with her property rights again, and you'll find yourself facing consequences you can't afford." The entire hall seemed to hold its breath. My father's confident smile flickered, then vanished entirely. But before I explain what happened next, tell me something. Drop a comment and let me know what city you're watching from. Because what I'm about to share, this isn't just my story. It might be yours too. For years, I believed that keeping quiet was the same thing as keeping everyone safe. That if I just smiled when expected, agreed when asked, and never let my frustration show, eventually my family would treat me like I mattered. I was wrong. Our household ran on a currency I didn't understand until it was almost too late. Appearances. My mother, Diana, orchestrated our lives like a stage production. Every holiday photo, every social gathering, every public interaction was carefully composed, edited, and presented to the world as evidence of our perfection. My father, Michael, thrived on recognition. He measured success not by personal achievement, but by how impressed other people were when he spoke. Every business deal, every charity event, every conversation was an opportunity for applause. Emma was their crown jewel. Graceful, soft-spoken, effortlessly charming. She had a way of making people feel special just by acknowledging them. At family dinners, she'd call me her amazing older sister with just the right amount of warmth to make it sound genuine. And me, I was the footnote they couldn't quite edit out. When acquaintances asked about my career, my mother would smile vaguely and say, "Oh, Sophia does something with corporate strategy." She never mentioned that I was the director of international operations for a multinational firm, that my decisions affected thousands of employees across 3 continents, that my name appeared on contracts worth more than most people would see in a lifetime. To her, none of that mattered because I didn't have a ring on my finger or a husband on my arm. Emma, meanwhile, didn't need to prove anything. Her engagement photos were framed throughout the house. Her wedding planning became the center of every conversation. And when the bills started piling up, when the vendors required deposits, when the venue demanded payment, they turned to me. Not with requests, with expectations. I paid for the floral arrangements without being asked. I covered the photography package when my father's temporary cash flow issue stretched into months. I wired $15,000 for the rehearsal dinner because my mother called it a family emergency. They never said thank you. They just accepted it as though it was my obligation, my role in the family ecosystem. The week before the ceremony, my father pulled me aside in the hallway. His tone was casual, almost dismissive. "You'll be seated with the family, obviously," he said. "Just remember this day is about Emma. Don't make it complicated." Don't make it complicated, as if my mere presence was a potential disruption. I laughed about it later, alone in my car in the parking garage. He had no concept of what complicated actually meant. The rehearsal dinner took place in a private garden venue, all twinkling lights and cream-colored roses. Everything looked like it had been pulled from a magazine spread. My mother fussed over Emma's hair. My father worked the room, shaking hands with investors and distant relatives with equal enthusiasm. I stood near the dessert table, watching it all unfold, feeling like a guest at my own family's performance. Then Emma approached, her smile radiant and sweet.